Hello everyone, Professor Prinny here, and today I am going to be going over the basics of affixing, the absolute minimum you need to know. This presentation or video even, is aimed towards those who are new to affixing. If you're a veteran player that's gone around, probably made something like Guardian Soul already, you know most of these already, you don't need to go through all of this. But hey, without further ado, let us begin. So, what we will cover today is what affixing is, how to upslot, special augment factors, S-grade augments, augment capsules, and some augment recommendations that are either cheap or cheap-ish or easily attainable. We will not, however, be covering affix formulas or how to make specific augments, just so we don't overwhelm you new people. And so up there at the top you can just keep up with which section we're on, although I'll be doing chapters for this video as well. And also I'll have a link in the description for this PowerPoint if you just want to have a look through it at your own time. So let's move on to part 1. Part 1. What is affixing? Affixing is the synthesis or the combining of augments within a base weapon or unit and up to 5 pieces of sacrificial fodder or materials, then picking and choosing augments based on what augments you put in. So in this example right here, you can see that the base item selected is the valve fodder over here, and then these are the material items here, and all the augments on them combined make these list of augments that are available for selection. So the only restriction to this process is that, well, the only restrictions are that you can only do affixing between weapon to weapon or unit to unit, and the fodder pieces must have an equal or greater number of slots than the base. So in this example again, the valve fodder has 2 slots, while the material items either have 3 or 5 on them. Hence why they can be used as the material items in this scenario. And to clear up a common misconception, this process is not moving augments. That's an entirely different process altogether. This one combines or synthesizes augments together to make it, to get what you want. To initiate the affix process, you go to the Item Scientist Studio or Monica in the shopping plaza, and then you select the option Affix Augment just below, second from the top and below Enhance Item. So let's go into the game real quick. So turn to the right over here. Go in the teleporter, and to your left you go to the item scientist over here.
I'm gonna give it my best shot.
In this case, I have Monica. And then you'd select to fix augment.
Don't be a stranger, okay?
So that was affixing, or at least like a very simple explanation of it. But before we continue on to part 2, I'm going to teach you about a few things that you'll need to, that will be useful for that section. And first off, we have junk augments. These are low-end, really weak augments that have a 100% base affix rate when there's at least one copy of the augment in the provided affix pool. And you've got some examples here: the Might one, the Casting one, the Stamina one, the Love Fever, and the MP Embrace. Here's a quick list of available junk augments. It's mostly augments with the which are the level 1 version, but not all of them. For example, right here, Burn and Shock 1 don't have that same rate. And then one more thing left to introduce is augmentation aids. They do exactly as their name suggests, and they increase the chances of augments being successfully affixed by a flat percentage. Basically whatever displayed on there. You can buy these items in the X-Cube exchange at the 2nd floor of the shopping plaza, or 1st floor if you're from Europe. So let me show you that in game. You can run up the stairs here. On the left side of the casino gate. And the X-Cube exchanger is right here. Nissa.
Well, come on in.
Open the shop, scroll down a bit. Until you see these two.
Please come again.
You can also get up here by using this launch pad right here.
Ooh, I'm gonna give it my best.
There are also higher level augmentation aids available out there. For example, you can get 45% augment aids through the titles or the mission pass, 50% from titles, 55% can also be gained from titles or from the AC bonus rewards from the AC support scratch bonus rewards. And for the 60%, it was only available as a one-time AC scratch bonus a few days from when this video was a few days from when this video was recorded, or a week before this video was recorded. Although there will be a way to get more of these, potentially in the future. Although that'll cost you star gems instead of AC. So yeah, for the 60%, you'd have to spend real money basically. So not recommended. But it's there if you do decide to. I'm just making you aware of its existence. So keep the junk fixes and augment aids in mind, as they will be important and integral to the next section, which is part 2. And that's the part 2, Upslotting Basics. Upslotting goes through the usual process of affixing, but you're doing it with the intent of increasing the number of slots on the base weapon or unit by 1 more than it currently has. This is a similar picture to what we had in part 1. It's displaying the junk augments examples, but this time we filled in the extra slot, and as you can see, the affix is now subject to a penalty in the form of reduced success rate, and the penalty increases in proportion to the slot number you're aiming for. So as this example here is going from 3 to 4 slots, the penalty is a multiplier of 0.7. So be sure to not take any affix with less than 100% base rate, or you'll be making this harder for yourself. And that is the reason why junk affixes are useful here, because they're the closest you're going to get to a 100% affix rate for this upslot. So let's go over the process. First off, you select your base weapon or unit. In this case, for this example, we're selecting the Basilisk Cadet over here in this picture. Then you select 2 fodder pieces with some junk augments and have at least the same number of slots as your base. So this one's taking 2 fodder pieces with 3 slots each, and they both have a few junk augments between them. And you select 2 fodder pieces to maximize the chances of a successful upslot. Using more doesn't increase the chances any higher, meaning that it becomes a waste of resources at that point, and any less and the success rate is abysmal. Step 3. Fill all the available slots, including the extra slot, with junk augments. And then proceed to the confirmation screen. So, when selecting augments, you want to be careful, as selecting mutually exclusive augments, such as Might 1 or Might 2 in this example, will deselect previous selections. So, for example, Might 1 is selected right here, but if you selected Might 2, while this is all filled out, Might 1 will be replaced with Might 2. And again, if Might 2 is right here and you select Might 1, Might 2 will be replaced with Might 1. Also, if you select additional augments beyond the maximum amount you can select, in this case there's only 4 slots to fill, the augment at the top will be removed, and it will shift all the augments up and fill in the newly selected augment at the bottom. So in this example, this is all filled out, or this augment list, and then you select Mastery 3. Might 1 will be removed, Casting, Deftness, and Stamina 1 will each be moved up 1, and then Mastery 3 fills out the bottom slot. So once you've selected your junk augments, you've got one more step to do to get your success rate close or to 100%, and that's by using augmentation aids. When you go to the confirmation screen, go to the Success Boosters tab and select the augmentation aid you want to use. Make sure that augmentation aid is in your inventory so you can select it. Once you've selected it, you can see that you've got a new set of success rates. Your new success rate is displayed, and the 30% plus the 70% makes this affix a 100% chance to succeed for all these junk augments. And then once you confirm that decision and finalize it, that weapon or unit is now whatever slot number you aimed for, using both junk augments and augment aids. So a quick disclaimer about these examples. The Upslot example is going from 3 to 4 slots was done on a non-boost week time. And by what I mean by boost week is there are designated times decided by Sega when the success rate of augments are increased by a certain amount. And the previous one we've had was at 20%. So if I did those examples during that time, the success rate would have been 90% instead of the 70%. However, these augment aids and boosts are applied after penalties. So whatever the base success rate is, apply the penalty first. Then if there's a boost week, that applies first. Then whatever augment aids you select. And then finally, we have I have a list of the actual difficulties here from the Arks-Visiphone. As you can see, using 2+ fodders, our difficulty for the example was multiplier of 0.7. Using only one fodder, the multiplier difficulty is 0.6. The only time where there's no difference between the two is when you're going from 0 to 1 slot or 7 to 8 slots. So let's show you a quick example of the upslot process.
I'm gonna give it my best
So
shot.
go to do harmonica, affix augment, select the item you want to upslot. So in this scenario, I am going to choose the Genon Ziva right here at the very top. Then I'm going to select these two right here. They've both got some junk augments on them. Fill out all 4 slots. Start affix augment. Success boosters. Just need a 30% for this one. Got the updated success rate over here. Finalize the process.
Success! Thank goodness.
And now this weapon has 4 slots.
okay?
Now let's move on to part 3. Part 3. Special augment factors. Special augment factors are affixes that 13-star units at plus 10 and most weapons at plus 35 enhancement can confer or give during the affixing process. These augments are marked by a blue square. With this feature, you can get certain mid to high level augments without going through complex recipes or dealing with low success rates. For example, Astral Soul over here, normally you'd be making the materials needed for making the augments needed to make this bigger one, but there's a special augment factor available for it that you can easily get, at least for weapons, so you don't need to go through all the steps needed to make this particular augment. Special augment factors will always have a 100% base chance to be affixed, although they can be affected by the upslot penalty. However, some exceptions apply, and I will go over what those exceptions are in a later part. You can view a weapon or unit's special augment factor like so. You select the weapon or unit you want to check, select confirm augment factor, and it will be displayed right here. Like so. So as you can see, Astral Soul gives plus 35 to a lot of stats and plus 5 PP. Let me show you an example in game. Let's click on the Union Gunblade over here, confirm augment factor, and as you can see, it gives Astral Soul. Now let's do it for another one. Let's check out the augment factor for Noibo. And this, you can see this one gives Might 3. Considering the fact that you have 6 weapons or units, the base and 5 fodder to work with, that means you can easily make a competent affix with 6 slots minimum, and that's all by using special augment factors. As you can see, I've got Astral Soul, Might 6, Mastery 5, Doom Break 3, Persona Reverie, and Phrase Decay, all as special augment factors, and below that, altogether, these are the total stats they give. Although dealing with special augment factors is a bit trickier on units because of the lower amount of SAFs you have to work with, and the fact that special augment factors are only available on 13-star units, meaning they're untradeable. But on weapons, on the other hand, it's as easy as this. However, there is still more to consider before you go off to make your affixes. And this is the thing you need to consider. Part 4. S-grade augments. S-grade augments are powerful augments that can significantly bolster your power or heavily support your playstyle. In this picture example, we've got S2 Goliath Slayer's Will, which increases damage dealt to bosses by 3%, and S3 Aggressive Will, which increases damage dealt by 2%. They may sound weak, but percentages in PSO2 in particular, or actually most games rather, usually they're significantly more powerful than flat stats. And I will show an example later in this section, just to show you how strong these really are. So S-grade augments each have an assigned slot they can go in, and the weapon or unit you want the augments on must have the necessary support for them to be affixed or transferred. Most 13-star plus weapons, so 13 to 15 star, can support S1 to S5 S-grade augments. In this example right here, the Atlas Vadi EX, you can see that it has compatibility with S1, S2, S3, and S4. As for 13-star units, they support S6 for the back unit, S7 for the arm unit, and S8 for the leg unit. The back unit over here with the compatibility with S6, the arm here with the compatibility with S7, and the leg here with compatibility with S8. When looking at the item details, go onto the second tab to see their compatibility. So let's go back to the game real quick so I can show an example. Let's go with the Gen on Ziva here. Check the second tab, and you can see it has a compatibility with S2 and S3. How about the Union Gunblade here? Second tab. Nope, we cannot support S-grade augments on this. And now let's check a unit. This Trailblazer back. It's a 13-star unit, and you can see it supports S6. It is highly recommended to fill out all your S-grade slots, as S-grade augments are way more useful and powerful than regular augments. They are also easily replaceable and flexible to work with. Heck, if you ask other affixers, they will tell you to fill out your S-grade augments. For sure. So, S-grade augments can also be special augment factors or be dropped naturally from loot during quests. So I have the Vardis Zapper right here with the augment factor of S2 Precision Will. And these sorts of weapons are quite special because you don't ever need to use this weapon as fodder in the affix process to get the S-grade augment onto your desired weapon or unit. Actually, no, there's no S-grade special augment factors for units, unfortunately. So just weapons for this. And to do all this, we use the option for transferring S-grade augments called Transfer S-grade Augment, which is the fourth option in the lab menu. So firstly, if you want a particular S-grade augment from a weapon that has it as a special augment factor, affix that special augment factor onto the weapon itself first. So if I want that precision will S2 precision will from the Vada Zapper, affix it onto the weapon itself, and as you can see here, it is not affected by the upslot penalty. This is the exception I was talking about when we were on part 3. So I could get a quick example here in game. I've got this Vada Zapper right here. It's got an S2 on it already, but I want the precision will.
I'm gonna give it my best shot.
So let me get a quick fodder weapon first. Affix augment. Select the Vada Zapper. Select your fodder, and as you could see, S2 precision will available as a special augment factor. Affix it on. Oh, and in regards to S grades, you can only have one S1, one S2, one S3 on the weapon or unit at a time. You can't have like multiple S2s, for example. Or otherwise you will deselect the other option. So in this case we want the precision will. Affix the augment on.
Thank goodness.
And there we go.
Don't be a string.
So, compared to affixing, transferring S-grade augments either swaps or transfers SGAs between two weapons or units at a 100% chance. There's no RNG involved in this feature. Regular augments, however, will remain the same between both targets. So you can't use that. Feature to. That feature is strictly for S-grade augments moving or swapping. There are no slot restrictions either, so the weapon or unit you're transferring from can have any number of slots compared to the base. The only restriction, however, is that the base needs to be SGA compatible. Although same with the fodder as well, if you're going to transfer anything. So let's go over the process. Firstly, you select a base weapon or unit, right, like so. Then you select the item you want to transfer S-grade augments from. In this scenario, we're going to pick that Vada Zapper. Afterwards, select the augments you want on the first item. So we're going to select the S2 precision wheel here from the Vada Zapper. and then select the regular augments we want to keep from on the first item. And remember, the unselected augments that you can't fit onto this list will be destroyed. Afterwards, you select the augments you want on the second item. And because we've selected the precision wheel on the first item, it won't show up on the second item, since there was nothing on the first item that could be used to swap with the precision wheel. And so the Vardis Zapper will lose a slot in the process. Then you finally commence the transfer. You get this confirmation screen telling you what augments will be on what item. And then we have the transfer success over here. And so before we recap, let me show you this in action.
I'm gonna give it my best shot.
Go to transfer S-grade augment. We're going to select the Genon Ziva because it was compatible with S2. We're going to take the precision wheel from the Vardis Zapper. Fill out all the slots. And be sure to take the S-grade you wanted. You'll get a confirmation that you will lose the unselected augment. And then select the augments that are left for the second item. We have the final confirmation here.
Thank goodness.
And there we go. The Genon Ziva now has the S2 precision wheel. And the Vardis Zapper lost it. And we didn't need to fodder this weapon at all. So, what we can do again is take a fodder and reaffix it. Reaffix the S2 back on the Vardis Zapper.
Goodness.
And now this weapon is ready to transfer this S-grade augment onto another weapon that I'd want it on if I wanted on that weapon.
Don't be a stranger, okay?
So back on the recap. Be sure to fill out all S-grade slots on a weapon or unit when doing your affixes before any upslotting or working on your proper affix. Mainly because these S-grade augments have that 100% chance always, and that the fact that they ignore the upslot penalty. So that means, depending on how much a weapon or unit can support, you'll always have those number of slots guaranteed. So back in the initial page for S-grade for this part, we had the Atlas Vardi EX, which had 4 S-grade supports. So meaning you could easily have a minimum of 4 slots on that weapon. You can continuously print out S-grade augments if they are a special augment factor by affixing them onto the item themselves, then transferring them over to your desired target. S-grade augments can also be easily transferred between items if they are compatible. And so, before we move on to the next section, I'm gonna show you how powerful those S-grade augments are in terms of what the heck does 1%, 2%, 3% mean. So, there's this very handy website right here, which shows you the attack calculation. And so we're going to go through this step by step to know how much 1% is for our character. So first off, we need to fill in the top slot, which is what is our character's base attack. And our base attack is the attack value shown on the character status window with no weapons, units, or rings equipped. And it has a preface that if you're using an attack up S-grade augment on a unit, you should include them in the base stat as they are considered a part of it. So let's go to the game. So let's take off our weapon, take off our units, and take off at least the left ring. The right ring, on the other hand, doesn't really give any stats, but for the sake of the video, we'll take that off as well. Let's go to the character info. And we can see that, at least because we're a ranger, we're dealing mainly with range power. Our base range power right here is 1212, or 1212. So let's fill that in here. And as you can see right now, it's calculated a bit. Wait. There we go. So as you can see, we filled out the base attack and it's already calculated that 1% bonus damage would be 22.55, a 2% damage bonus would be 45.11, a 3% damage bonus would be 67.66, and as you can see, that's already a lot compared to regular augments, and this is only the base stats that it's calculating. So let's add in the units and rings bonus next. So the R ring doesn't give any stats, so we don't have to calculate that. And this particular ring doesn't give any bonus attack stats, so we don't have to calculate from that either. So to check how much attack a unit gives at the moment, go to the second tab, go down here to additional stats, and then you can see the attack values here. So in this case, all we need is the range power for at least my character. So there's 305 on the back unit, 335 on the arm unit, and 335 on the leg unit. So altogether they give about 975. No. Wait. Yeah, and that should be right. Yeah, 975. So let's put that into the calculator here real quick. So as you can see, 1% is now 32.30. That's already slightly better than most regular augments. Especially when we get to 2% or 3% or 4%. They get significantly more useful. And so let's go calculate the weapon base attack, which is whatever attack value it displays. So let's check out the Dark Weave Agile AR plus 30 here. Let's go on to page 2 here. It's not actually 2,613. The base attack is whatever value this is minus the augment values. So in this case, we need to take away 130. Oh wait, I need to be on the game. Whoops. So, okay, let me go over that again. So, I've equipped the Dark Weave Agile AR plus 30 here that I've got. It gives 2,613 attack in total, but the calculator wants the base attack, which is this value minus any augment stats, if any. So 2,613 minus 130 is 2,483. So we'll put that into the calculator. And now, as you can see, 1% is now 75.01 attack, which is really insane, because the highest a regular augment can get, well, a non-S grade augment can get, is 70. And that's from this one augment called Guardian Soul, which gives attack and defense plus 70, HP plus 70, and PP plus 7. So if this is the best regular non-S grade augment you can get, and you've got S grade augments giving plus 4% like this one, and plus 4% right here on critical damage. So without considering the affix attack, 4% here, that's giving, each of those are giving plus 300 attack. As you can see right here, 4%, 300.5 attack, 0.05 attack. I'll just add in the affix attack real quick. It doesn't change it that much, but right now it's, in total, it's 306.5 attack. Although that's including all these extra calculations over here. The buff percent is from all of these level 17 shifter with no Tector buff, not the Tector version, which is 19.7, the Alliance Tree plus 20, and the Shifter Drink plus 50, which totals 115.46%. And then the enemy defense is based on the enemy level, at least mostly, and most enemy element weakness is at 20%. So, if you wanted to know why most people would recommend filling out the S grade augments with damage first, this is why. You get a lot of attack out of it. And this is me showing you rather than just saying, hey, S grade augments are strong. So now let's get back onto the PowerPoint and continue on. So now we're on part 5, which is Augment Capsules. Augment Capsules are items that can be used during the affix process to add an additional augment to the affix pool. I guess the easiest way to explain these would be special augment factors, but in item form. To use Augment Capsules, make sure the item is in your inventory, and then initiate the affix process as normal up until you select your fodder pieces. Once you've selected all the fodder you're going to use, you will get an additional pop-up menu, which will display the capsules you can use for the affix. And only one capsule can be used per affix. So in this example right here, you can only choose affix augment melee or the add S6. Let me quickly show you guys what this menu looks like in game.
I'm gonna give it my best shot.
Let me get a capsule out of my storage real quick.
We are currently preparing a large-scale operation for all Arks-Ops to fight enemies in their local regions.
Affix augments. We'll select the Genon Ziva right here. We'll just take the Union Gunblade as an example. We're not actually going to use it right now. So Genon Ziva, then the Union Gunblade, and then when we hit confirm, there's the pop-up menu. Okay, let's go back into the PowerPoint. So select your desired augment, then proceed. On the augment selection window, you can see that the capsule's augment is automatically selected and has a 100% base chance to affix, just like a special augment factor. The base chance is the same across all augment capsules and is also affected by the upslot penalty, unless of course they are an S grade augment, then they are immune to that. So let's complete this, the in-game example right here. We select the affix augment melee, and you can see it's automatically selected. And just to show that it's affected by the upslot penalty, there we go, like so.
Don't be a stranger.
So after the augment selection, you can proceed with the affix as normal. So that was just a quick overview of how augment capsules work. And now here's a quick section on augment capsules and the augment transfer process, because this is where you find a lot of people talking about this. And so I'll at least give a quick overview about its existence, but not actually go in depth into how this actually works. So, Augment Capsules can be used during the process of an augment transfer. So, just to quickly show you which option it is in game.
I'm gonna give it my best shot.
I'm talking about the third option. You could use capsules in this scenario, or this function.
Don't be a stranger, okay?
Although I will not be covering that method in this presentation, as it does require a deeper exploration into affix recipes to make full use of the limited supply of Augment Transfer Passes, and as if you're a newer player, for example, you're not going to have many transfer passes at this point. At least early in your game time. And at the very least, you'll be getting at least 40 per month. At minimum. Although you have to earn those as well. So at least I'm going to describe the process at least as simply as possible. So how the capsules work during the augment transfer process, is transferring augments from one weapon or unit to another that has a higher slot count, and then you use a capsule to fill the empty slot. And a common misconception about this is that this is upslotting. This is not upslotting. Don't confuse the two processes. They are completely separate things, and both processes are not interchangeable whatsoever. And in this particular process, no weapon or unit is being upslotted whatsoever. And so now I've gone over this little overview. Let's talk about augment recommendations. As you can see up top, I've split this into 3 categories for weapons, units, and capsules, because of what they support and what's available to them. So, the following suggestions here are just general suggestions. Some classes and setups will want specific S grades, especially in regards to the S4 and S5 slots, so be sure to consult with experienced players in those classes for those choices. We will be going over the easily accessible choices, usually for cheap on the player market, or they're easy drops to get. The order of suggestions will go from S-grade augments to regular augments, or non-SGAs. Special augment factors on 14 star or below weapons can be bought from the player market. 15 stars on the other hand, you're going to have to hope they drop. This section, as I've already mentioned, is split into 3 parts due to the differing accessibility of the options between them. And this is for more of the experienced fixers that have been following this video. If you want to give your suggestions, please send them to me, or in the case of this video, just put them down in the comments below, and I may add them onto a later update of this entire presentation or guide. Although please keep in mind the above 2 points and the above points and the target audience of this presentation. So let's go over the S1s. We have Perfect Chain Will, which is available with the Blood series. In particular, don't go for as long as you're not trying to buy the rifle, the cannon, or the jet boots, they will be fairly cheap as far as I'm aware. There's also S1 Precision Will 1. These are fairly cheap as far as I'm concerned, and you can get them from emergency trial rewards on ultra high difficulty. S1 Aggressive Will is the easiest of all of these to get, as they are the special augment factor for the 13-star weapon Val Owls. So you can print this as much as you want. I think I may have an example in game. Let me check real quick.
I'm gonna give it my best shot.
Okay, so Val Owls over here, confer an augment factor, S1 Aggressive Will. These are dropping like candy in Drawn to Darkness, and so they should be really cheap on the player market these days. There's also Elementalist Will. This one was recommended to me to put on this, but I'm not entirely sure how good it is. But it needs to match your ring, or the weapon element matches the enemy elemental weakness, so it is conditional, but it's still powerful. And then we have the power amps. For example, the melee amp, which increases attack power by 1% for every 60 melee power affixed to whatever weapon it's affixed to. And these are available on melee Trailblazer weapons and the Dusk series melee weapons. Now the Dusk melee weapons, the Dusk series in particular, these can drop from Tokyo Rainbow keys, so keep an eye out for those, and remember to keep at least one for melee weapons, range weapon, or the technique weapon. So you don't have to use you don't have to keep a Trailblazer weapon spare for printing purposes. As for S2s, there's not really that much that is accessible for S2. Easily accessible for S2. In the Rising Weapon Badge 5, you can get Photon Descent 3, which reduces your PP consumption by 15%. That's an okay option. So you can use more Photon Arts in your combos. And then, as I've shown throughout the part 4, Precision Will S2, which increases crit damage by 3%, and you can get that from the Vardis series of weapons. In particular, for my examples, I was using the Rod, but it can be any Vardis weapon. As for S3, again, we have S3 Aggressive Will. Aggressive Will for the S3. Now there's no special augment factor for this, but on ultra hard difficulty for Wisdom Incarnate and Longing for Omniscience, which is the Omega Luther fight, this drops on some of the weapons from this fight, and fairly commonly too. You can also search this up on the augment market if you want to. So I guess right now I can quickly show you how to search up augments that aren't capsules. So let's go to the game real quick. Go to your nearest Visiphone terminal. Go to the personal shop. Go to product search. Now don't type anything in to the item name here, go to the right box here, the augment search settings. So let's just put S3 here real quick, then press search, and it's the top on top of the list. So let's select that. The number of slots doesn't matter, so we don't need to go with deal with any other selection here. Search by price, and as you can see, these are extremely cheap. The lowest one at the moment on ship 4 being under about 100,000 Meseta. So you could just rip out this S grade if you wanted to. So you buy the weapon, rip it out, or farm the Luther fight, the Omega Luther fight, as many times as you want until you get one. You can do that with almost every other augment as well. We've also got S3 Precision Will. That's another one recommended to me when I first made this guide. Not too sure how common it is, so be sure to check out its price if it's worth it to you. We've got S3 Axiom Will, which increases damage by 3% while HP is above 80%. It's a special augment factor of the Anakatis series, or it's available as a capsule as an ultra hard emergency trial reward. And it can also drop from these quests over here. And considering it's conditional, it should be fairly cheap. There's also S3 Dynamo Dance, which increases damage by 3% when consecutively chaining different photon answer techniques with perfect attacks. And it's the special augment factor for the weapon Apprentice's Grudge Omega. As for S4, there's not really much in terms of damage, but in terms of playstyle, these are some very helpful options for in general. So there's the S4 Steely Determination, which allows you to survive a fatal hit with 1 HP, and it only works once per quest. So if you're as a newer player, if you are one, you can use this as like a crutch and then change it for something better later down the line. The easiest way to get this is from the 14-star weapon Signburn. And now we have S4 Photon V Adaptation, which improves your natural and active PP recovery and reduces your PP consumption based on what your maximum PP is. Now, to actually get the maximum effect for this, you'd need about 420 PP or something crazy like that. So not many people are going to get that, but even it's still a pretty good S4 filler if needed. And you can get them from weapon drops in the quest from the Risk Realm Extreme quests. Also, you can also rip it off from a spare Atlas weapon of yours. If you've got an Atlas Victo EX available to you, just go to Zig.
What's the good word?
Change weapon category. Well, actually, Atlas is also fine. So change EX series, Atlas EX series, or change Atlas series. Then, whichever one you want the S4 out of, just select it and make sure you meet the requirements for weapon category changing. and then affix the S4 of that weapon onto it, and then transfer that S4 onto your desired target. Another option you can choose is Lifesteal Strike, which is the special augment factor for the Atlas Gunblade, which is the easily accessible one. And again, same as the above two, it's available from the Extreme Quest Risk Realm. And now this last S4, Escalating Pursuit, is the only damage based one, if I recall. Which, when you hit a target with Photon Art or Technique, for the next 4 seconds it will track 30% of the damage you deal within that time frame, and then after that, the next PA or technique you use will deal additional damage based on that criteria. This is actually the S4 most high level players will be using if they don't have another option that's actually more suited to them. And you can buy these from the Rising Weapon Badge 5 shop. So which is actually really crazy. It actually surprised a lot of us experienced players, to be honest. So let's quickly go to the Rising Weapon Badge shop just so I can show you. It's available as a capsule there. We go to Nanon here.
Well, hello there.
Exchange Rising Weapon Badges. Rising Weapon Badge Exchange Shop 5. Scroll all the way down until you get to the S4. And as you can see here, you can buy it for 600 Rising Weapon Badge 5s. Out of all of those S4s, this is the most useful out of all of them.
See you around.
Heck, I've got them on my rifle here, my Rivalate rifle. I've got it here on my light weave cannon, and I've got it here on my dark weave rifle as well. So newer players have an easily accessible top tier S grade augment right there. And now for the S5 choices, you've got two general ones that are worth using. And the first one is the S5 Skillful Adept Will, which is the special augment factor of the Rivalate Gunblade or the Lightweaver Klaus Tear Gunblade. In this scenario, you're most likely gonna make sure you have a spare Rivalate that's just for ripping out S5s from, like with the Atlas series. But instead, you're using the Rivalate to change weapon categories with to get your desired S5. And this one gives you an increased critical hit rate by 20%, and your critical hit damage is increased by 2%, and it also has lifesteal on top of that. So it's an extremely good choice for a lot of. It'll be an extremely good choice for a lot of you, if not for at least for the crit rate and the crit damage. And not only that, this if you wanted to, the lifesteal from this S5 also stacks with the S4 lifesteal. But not many people will actually have both lifesteals together. Usually they'd have this S5 and then use a different S4 altogether. And then there's another S5 that's worth using called Augment Bloom. This the effect of this is that it doubles the value of what augments you have on the weapon. So if we went back to my rifle, if I had the Darkweave Agile right here, let's pretend it could support S5 for a moment, and I slapped it on Augment Bloom. Plus 130 range power will be considered plus 260 range power instead. It won't actually show. It won't actually update these values, but that's what the S5 would be doing. And because of that, S5 Augment Bloom has more value on weapons with fewer S-grade slots. As for this one, you can also buy it in the Rising Weapon Badge 5 shop. So that's 2 top tier augments available in the Rising Weapon Badge shop. Just available for you to buy and put onto your weapon. So now we're going to move on to regular augments available on weapons. So first off, we have power 6s, might 6, precision 6, casting 6. And the most accessible weapons for these series available at the moment are the dim series. There's more weapon series that you can go look for, but those aren't as readily available as the dim series. These drop from almost all endgame missions currently, like Divide Quest for example. You can also buy them for cheap on the player market. And yeah, here we also have Doombreak 2, which you can get from the Zara's series. Again, you can buy this from the player market because it's a 14-star weapon. Oh yeah, the dim series are also 14-star weapons, so all of these are accessible for cheap. And not many high-level players are going to be using Doombreak 2 on their weapons, so these are going to be cheap as well. And now the biggest one of all of them, Astral Soul, which you can get from the Ray or the Union weapon series. And as it mentions here, Astral Soul is the best bang for your buck as a special augment factor. It gives a lot of stats. And it's an extremely good option for you, because actually, as for where they drop, the Union series in particular drops from Tokyo Rainbow Keys. You can get them fairly commonly. So this one is easily one of the most available ones. You can, because they're 13-star weapons, you can buy them from the player market. Probably not the Ray series weapons, but more so the Union series. Those are more readily accessible these days. Then we have the Sentence powers, which are available on the Gix, Ivlida, Klesis, or Chevelle series of weapons. Although, right now, at least as I'm making this video, they're mostly the Gix series of weapons would be available. Next we have Sentence Triple, which is available on the Zynesis series or the Clifford series of weapons, which are dropping like candy from Drawn to Darkness. We also have Modulator, which is available from the Allure series, the Claudium series, the Detonation series, and the Serere series. These are dropping decently from certain specific Divide quests. Although, at the current moment, these can be slightly pricey if you're trying, depending on the slot number you're going for. So I'd recommend farming for these if you can, if you want this augment factor anyway. And now, here's the one you need to be thinking about the most, and that's Phrase Decay, which is available from the 13-star Basilisk series. The reason why you need to think about this is, even though it's a non-S grade augment, it gives percentage, and I've already shown you how much additional attack percentages are, so you sort of don't have to think twice about this one. So at least for 3 specific classes, these 3 classes, these are must-haves for if you play these, and that's Hunter, Phantom, or Female Style Luster. These are the 3 classes that can keep gelling on their targets consistently. You can also consider this if you don't play any of these 3 classes, if you don't plan on doing much solo content. Alternatively, you can consider Phrase Weak, which is an additional 2% if you're targeting an elemental weakness, which is available on the Faunus series, the Homerus series, or the Accord series. It's situational as well, and still a decent choice if you or your group cannot consistently inflict Gelin. So now we move on to units. Remember, only 13-star units can hold S-grade augments. Only 13-star units have S special augment factors. These special augment factor options are more limited compared to weapons, as they are not tradable, so you have to rely on drops to get these, or there are places to buy some of them. As a reminder, back units can hold S6, arm units can hold S7, and leg units can hold S8. The listed S-grade augments can be attained fairly quickly or cheaply. And as with weapons, some classes or builds will want specific S-grade augments. So again, be sure to consult people that are experienced with those classes for those suggestions. So for back units, we have the S6 Guardian Shield, which reduces damage taken by 7%. You can buy this at the Prize Medal Exchange Shop. Then we have the Fortified Powers, which give a plus 30 power depending on which one you're taking. These are very important in particular, as I've mentioned before. These get counted as part of your base stats, so they are affected by buffs such as Shifter or the Tree or the Drink. So these end up being very useful. As for why I've put Guardian Shield up, is basically because as long as you're not dying, you're still dealing damage, and that's going to be perfectly fine for most people. For S7, the only really accessible ones are the fortified powers. You can get these at the prize metal exchange shop again. And you get the capsules for those. As for S8, you've got a bit more of a selection. Fortified life vessel, again for survivability purposes. It's also available at the price metal exchange shop. As for the S8 fortified powers, you're gonna have to rely on drops a bit more. However, these are a bit quicker to get as far as I'm aware, so I've listed them here. And then I've listed down here S8 Mighty Medication, which makes you invincible temporarily when you're drinking a mate item. These are available as capsules and they're quite cheap on the market. Just in case you're not aware of what a mate item is. It's these three right here. Monomate, Dimate, and Trimates. These healing items. Whoopsie. And then for regular augments or non-SGAs, you've got Might 5, Precision 5, and Casting 5 available to you. These ones you can buy from the Rising Weapon Badge 5 shop, so they're extremely accessible. You've also got the Sentence powers. These Chevelle units are common drops from Tokyo Rainbow keys. You've also got Doombreak 1 and Doombreak 2, depending on which Avion back unit you get. They also drop from Tokyo Rainbow keys, but they are not as common as the Chevelle. And as for all three weapon series, they can drop from the Urgent Quest Armada of Lament, which is a bit more accessible than Tokyo Rainbow keys, depending on the Urgent Quest rotation. And continuing a bit more, we have the lesser powers, as well as lesser stamina over here. I should have added lesser the PP version. So these units in particular, you've probably experienced the craziness that is Cradle of Darkness and Drawn to Darkness on ultra hard difficulty. Yeah, or at the very least, the lesser might, lesser precision, and lesser stamina 4s drop in Cradle of Darkness and Drawn to Darkness ultra hard. They drop like candy. So these are extremely accessible. Extremely. As for something like lesser casting, you'd have to rely on something like the Extreme Quest Risk Realm. However, all of these can drop from Divide Quest as well. However, these are primarily used to make a certain mid to high end augment. Although I won't go over that. That's something you can research for yourself, what these are supposed to make. But otherwise, on their own, if you just want something quick and dirty done for your affix, these are perfectly fine. And now we move on to capsules. Here we'll mostly cover non-S grade augments, as we've basically covered all the available S grade options in the weapon and unit sections. Most of these capsules you'd have to buy from the player market. And so here are my capsule recommendations. So we have Might Boost, Precision Boost, and Casting Boost. These are earnable through the Mission Pass. However, these are mostly used as junk affixes for upslotting. Honestly, if you're really tight on budget, these are fine to use as whatever your affixes. Totally okay. You'll get a few question marks from some people if they're looking at your affixes, but if you at least let them know like what your circumstances are, they'll at least understand why you use these anyway. And then there's the graceful capsules, also known as the something and PP3s. On ship 4, these capsules can range from 1 million Meseta to 10 million. On other ships, they're most likely cheaper because there's far more supply over there. And in these cases, the stamina and casting capsules lie on the cheaper end of this spectrum, while the might and precision capsules lie on the more expensive side. So for most of you new players, this might be the first luxury sort of affix you'd probably go for. Well, luxury I put in quotation marks because there's a stronger one. There's a stronger set than these, but only those with the money to do so will go for them, hence why I've recommended these. And that's basically the guide done. So I'm just going to go over my final thoughts here with you guys. And so be sure to consider your budget and what you're willing to spend. Be sure to plan these out, because if you don't plan these out properly, you're going to end up spending way more than you probably should. If you want to keep your fixed plans cheap, you want to farm for your materials. If you want to take your affixes to a level beyond what I've just taught you, you'd have to start researching on your own affix formulas, or asking more experienced players on what affixes are available to you. And be sure to let them know how much Meseta you're willing to spend and the resources you have on hand. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult for us to tell you what affixes at best you can go for, because a lot of the time we're probably going to end up recommending the highest of highest end augments or something like that. So take the time to experiment on your own. Once you've gotten over all these basics, you'll start finding the affix augment system is simple to navigate. I've got some useful links right here, which I'll also put into the description of this video. I've got one that links to the Arks-Visiphone, which will display all the available augments in the game, all the available special augment factors and S grade augments that I haven't listed in this video and guide. There's also the PSO2 Affixing Assistant. With this, you can work backwards through any finalized affix ideas you have, and it can also give you an in-depth list of what you need to make certain affixes. However, it is recommended to have some knowledge about how to formulate your own recipes before you actually use this particular tool. And then finally, the PSO2 Affixing Simulator. Before you actually work on your augments in-game, your affixing in-game, you can use the PSO2 Affixing Simulator to simulate any of your planned affixes or formulas before doing them. You can also experiment with this system too. I'd also like to give special thanks to Hunluan, who's basically the editor of this entire guide and has been a big help overall, and to you who made it all the way to the end of this presentation. So, and thank you very much. So, I hope this helps you at least dabble in the affix system to make sure you have competent gear. Hopefully it will increase the quality of pubs, of public groups. At the very least, please fill out all of your S-grade augments on your weapons. And with that, thank you again for going through this presentation. I can't believe I got through all this in one take. I think that's... oh boy. Alright. Professor Prinny here, signing off. Take care, everyone. Bye.